Okay, we have a 5-day winning streak so far, just barely. The S&P barely squeaked out a gain today. The Dow was up 114 points, up 0.28%. The holding above 40,000 there. The S&P 500 hovering around the 5,500 area, just above that area, barely squeaked out a gain today. It was positive, it was negative, and much a candle of indecision today, but we were up 3.5 points. The NASDAQ was flat, down 0.1%. The Russell was up about 0.5%, the best performer of the four. The VIX was up 1.13%, holding to closing above 25. A lot of tech earnings. We got Magnificent 7 earnings this week. Market still watching any progress surrounding tariffs and tensions between the U.S. and China. This week and next week, we got a lot of important earnings. Got tech earnings this week, and next week we have the Fed, just still expected not to cut rates. A lot of earnings as we're now in the heart of earnings season. Tomorrow, PayPal, UPS before the bell opens, Coca-Cola, Pfizer, Spotify. After the bell, we have Visa, we've got Snap, we've got Magnificent 7 earnings later in the week. The bell on Wednesday, we'll have Microsoft, we'll have Meta. Dow earnings this week. We got S&P earnings. Again, a lot of big tech for NASDAQ. Later on Thursday, we'll get Amazon after the bell, and we'll get Apple. So a lot of earnings for the market to digest. We'll be looking at guidance going forward and what they have to say regarding tariffs. But big earnings after the bell on Wednesday, after the bell on Thursday. Again, Microsoft, Meta after Wednesday's bell, closing bell, Thursday, Amazon, and Apple. A lot of other important earnings this week. First, we saw the momentum line turn bullish, and then now we get a bullish reversal of conditions. Last week on Wednesday, on Thursday, we tried to do it on Wednesday. It failed. Got a topping tail. The bears told us it was over. Just like they told us this rally was never going to happen. We've now rallied nearly 15%. That wasn't going to happen. Now we get this doji. We've got this bullish reversal of conditions, and now we're getting the 10 crossing back above the 20. Bullish things, all kinds of bullish things. If we pull back, I'm watching this gap right here. I'm watching this gap, and another one below it. I don't think we reach it, but again, we may have a continuation doji. The bears, the herd, telling us no possible way we're going to see a de-escalation. And I told you, again, everybody believes one thing. Usually the opposite happens, and I think you're going to see tariffs paused or reduced on China, and then China's retaliatory tariffs paused or reduced. I think you're going to see formal trade negotiations announced. Happen tomorrow. That can happen later this week. It's very, very possible. If we have a continuation doji, maybe we get a catalyst tomorrow. Maybe that's the catalyst. Get a surge up here to the 200 or above it. I think it's very possible we see that. We're being told no possible way that happens. Pull back. There's still possible the possibility we get red bars in the awesome oscillator for confirmation of a higher low. The bearish case will be we go back and take out these lows. I think that's becoming less and less likely that we've bottomed and we got a higher low and a higher high now. Doji could give us a pullback, also be a continuation. We'll be watching. It's true for NASDAQ. We're just under that 50-period moving average, a green line. We've gotten the death cross. We had the bottom before. It very well could be that, again, we bottomed before the death cross happened. Watching, do we go into the positive region? This is what Bitcoin did. Push reversal of conditions, and we saw the awesome oscillator go positive. See that now here. We see it eventually go into positive territory. Do we have a continuation doji and we come up here to the 200 or in horizontal resistance, or do we just blow past this level and get a massive rally, a bar that looks like this? And again, would see something like that if we get de-escalation day tomorrow or later this week. Again, momentum back to bullish. 10, we got above the 10 got above the 20 there last week. We got it today with the S&P 500. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel today. If you follow the link below, it'll take you to a secured site and you can donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you. I thank you for your consideration for that. The VIX was down the previous 4 sessions. Today it was slightly higher, but we got a test again of Friday and today of the 50-period moving average. You drop below that, you're going to get a bigger rally. If we bounce here, again, S&P could try to come back and test the 10 and 20 period that are getting a bullish cross, or try to fill the gap. Again, we have 2 gaps now down here. I don't think we necessarily come all the way down here. We could fill this one that we had from Wednesday. Just as possible, though, that the doji is a continuation doji if we get really good news on de-escalation day or rally surrounding earnings. And also hope, I do want to mention this, there's been also hope of a peace deal being reached with Ukraine and Russia, if anything amounts to it, but there's hope out there of that. Whether that can happen, we'll have to wait and see. The market could celebrate that as well. Testing the 50 on the VIX, we're just below the 50 on the S&P 500. Again, death crosses sometimes mark bottoms. Seen that on Bitcoin over and over. The last 3 death crosses marked bottoms on Bitcoin. We've seen that before on the S&P 500 as well. Again, we've had major corrections through this bull market where we've had death crosses on the S&P 500. This has now been, what, the 6th one now that we've had the 6th death cross that we've now had. We had the death cross, the bottom formed, and the death cross marked the bottom. Well, the NASDAQ composite was slightly lower. A 0.1%, we were down 0.03% for the NASDAQ 100, down about 5 points. Again, pretty much flat. We have the NASDAQ 100 above the 200 period, continuing to hold above it. Again, I expect that the 50 is about to cross above the 200 period. We saw that with Bitcoin and the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, and allowed the 60-minute chart of the Bitcoin ETF to get the bullish cross at hourly time frame. So we've seen it now with Bitcoin, and again, I expect the NASDAQ is following along with the S&P 500. Again, likely completed an ABC move, even if you count this as a complex correction. Again, we clearly have a 3-leg push lower, okay, and which again has likely produced the bottom on the NASDAQ and the S&P. But even if you count this as a complex correction, this 3-leg push down as a W, and then we come up here and we get X, and then we get Y, it's still corrective. You needed a 5-leg push lower. You needed a 5-leg push lower for the top to be on the NASDAQ, and we didn't get it. We've invalidated that by pushing above the low over here at point A. So even if this is a complex correction rather than just a simple ABC, complex with WXY, and we get one more push below this, again, you have the 200-week directly below, correction, it still means we're still going to new highs. I don't think that we take out this low. I think we bottomed, and I think we're now beginning the intermediate wave 5. I think intermediate wave 4 has completed. We've got these gaps up here. We're coming back up to this gap right now. We're just below this gap right here. We've got these other gaps up here. And again, do we have a possible wave 1 and wave 2? And now possibly working on a 3. You're going to get this bullish golden cross here this week. In all likelihood, we drop below the cloud, we drop below the 50 on the NASDAQ, got back above both, gapping higher. You still might come back and fill the gap here. I don't think you're going to fill the one right here anytime soon. But if you do fill this one right here, you can still come back to this area before going higher. But I still think we're going to go higher. Now, again, we could come up to this other gap right here and this horizontal resistance and stall there. Then pull back if continue the momentum higher, or end up seeing tensions ease between the United States and China. If we see the tariffs paused, if we see the negotiations start, again, we can get a massive relief rally. So just something worth paying attention to there. Higher gave us a doji, candle of indecision. Now, we're getting the doji right below the 50-period moving average. We now have a higher low and a higher high. Higher low, higher high. We're holding above the 20 period. And again, on Friday, we had the 10 cross back above the 20-period moving average. Today, we got it on the S&P 500. I didn't draw my line very straight, but you can see we've got a higher low and we've got a higher high. Now, maybe we back test, maybe we don't. If we do, you come back to those moving averages. But the doji, while it can be a short-term reversal or a major reversal, it is Also possible it's a continuation. Dojis are candles of indecision. The doji cross could be a continuation that could take us up to the 200 or 100 or the cloud here and to this resistance level, or we may even try to blow right past it. Still have the possibility of an inverse head and shoulders pattern here if we come up to this area, or if we get a slanted type of a neckline sloping higher, then the inverse head and shoulders is still possible. A horizontal neckline or one that's sloping higher, we'll see. But I told you we are coming up to these areas for a test. We are doing that. I told you down over here, told that we are going to have a Black Monday style crash. Kramer said that. He was repeating it on social media. I told you we are bottoming ahead of the launch of the reciprocal tariffs. Bottoming signals on both the 7th and then on the 9th, that day before the rally even ever happened. We got bottoming signals. Momentum has shifted, and now we're seeing trend signals begin to shift. We've broken the downtrend just like Bitcoin did. We've gone up here to new highs. So again, we may go higher. Bitcoin's already catapulted above the 200 period moving average. If you want to see my latest Bitcoin video, and I featured the Elliott wave count for Bitcoin in that video, you can watch that at the end of this video. I'll link that video from earlier today. I have a candle of indecision. So again, I expect that the 200 will be tested. Whether we pull back first or not, we'll see. But it could be a continuation pattern and end up clearing the 200. Again, the inverse head and shoulders may not set up if we get a powerful move like what we had with our historic rally back over here. We were out up 12% in one day. On the S&P, we rallied up 9.5% in one day. See another powerful rally, a continuation of the breakout we've had here. So bullish things happening. We are in positive territory above 50 here on the RSI, which is a positive thing for the NASDAQ. And the MACD, while it reached extremes, there was no bullish diversions. The MACD is moving towards the positive region. So again, I think eventually you're going to get back above the 200 period moving average. And if we do, then you come back up into this area up in here. I told you we were going to get back down at the bottom. Then the higher low on Monday, I told you we are going to get a rally of hope. That is exactly what we've had. And I continue to believe that we're going to go up into this upper channel area here. And I think that we have now begun intermediate wave 5 for the NASDAQ. After a failed attempt, a failed breakout here to attempt to continue the rally, we had a failed breakout, no follow through. We moved to a new high, but we didn't get the confirmation of follow through. We had the sell off, dropped below the 200 period. We got rejection at it, and we went down, bounced off horizontal support that I've been showing you on the weekly chart, which again is the 2021 high for the NASDAQ. That's where we bounced directly below that. Even if we ended up going lower, you got the 200 week moving average. Again, we didn't reach it in 2023. We may not reach it right now, and horizontal support very well could hold. My guess is that's going to be the case. But after dropping 25.5% from the February 19th high, we've now rebounded back up nearly 18%. And actually, let me adjust the measurement. It's actually 17.95%. So almost 18% higher, just under that 50 period. So do we pull back and try to fill this gap right here and then go higher? Know that we come down and fill the gap down here. I think this low is going to hold as a higher low. But if we have a wave 1 and a wave 2, could this be wave 3? And again, it looks like it could be in sections of 3, which could be a leading diagonal. That's certainly possible with this rally off of the lows, now nearly 18%. So after dropping 25.5% from the high, we've now rallied nearly 18% off of the low. The NASDAQ is just above the 50% retracement, just under a 61.8 Fibonacci right here. The golden pocket between the 61.8 Fib and 78.6 Fibonacci. That's where our 200 period moving average is. So again, I expect a test. So if we do have a continuation, we'll be watching to see if we move up into that level. Again, if we get the announcement this week, and we very well could, of tariffs being paused or reduced, de-escalation day that I've been talking about is coming. And I would expect that comes tomorrow. If it comes later this week, I would expect a rally with that. We may pull back and then get it, but you got earnings. You've got that possibility of de-escalation day. The Treasury Secretary spoke about de-escalation coming in the near future. I think that that is going to be correct. Market would celebrate that. The earnings, the big tech earnings, and then we've got the Fed next week. So a lot to digest. We'll be watching the gap here. This first gap, if we get a bigger pullback, the doji could give us a pullback or a continuation of the trend. If we do pull back, again, to be watching for a possible back test of the trend line should we attempt to fill this gap. The gap may be a gap and go. We may fill it at a later date. I just want to watch a gap. Is it a gap and go, a gap and fill, or a gap and trap? So just some things to be watching, but a big rally of nearly 18% off of the lows now today, getting a doji. A winning streak. Slightly broken today, ever so slightly on the NASDAQ. S&P barely squeaked out a gain of a couple of points. So again, pause, continuation doji. Similar situation here on the S&P. We had a failed breakout back up here at the February 19th high. We saw this push below the 200, got rejection at it, and came down to horizontal support as well on the weekly chart. We've seen the rebound back up to give us a higher low and a higher high. And with the decline, we dropped just over 21% with this decline right here. We've retraced from this low now on April 7th. We have now rebounded up just under 15%. NASDAQ just under 18%. S&P just under 15% rebound. Again, if we have a wave 1 and a wave 2, possibly a wave 3, again, I told you back at the bottom, eventually we're going to rebound back up to the 200 period for test. You have these possible inverse head and shoulder patterns. Again, whether they play out or not, we'll see. But again, if we continue onward and upward this week, you could get the inverse head and shoulders pattern here, or again, a sloping, rising trend line for the neckline. Continue to believe the S&P has bottomed, and again that we will eventually go make new highs. Right now we're just like NASDAQ, we're above the 50% retracement. The 61.8 fib is right there at the 50 period moving average. The 200 period moving average is in the golden pocket between the 61.8 fib and the 78.6 Fibonacci. So again, we'll be watching to see if that's where we're headed, which well could be, again, for a test of that 200 period moving average, either at horizontal resistance or overthrowing that level. We'll be watching that. But a 21% over 21% drop, now a rally of nearly 15% back up, getting a candle of indecision. Today, a candle of indecision on the NASDAQ, candle of indecision on the S&P 500 here in the daily time frame. Same thing for the S&P weekly chart. Again, we've bounced off horizontal support. Directly below that, you have the 200-week moving average. In order to have a bear market, you got to take out the 200-week moving average and stay below it. Here we've bounced, we've risen. Let me just adjust a percentage move with the start of the week here. We've risen, again, nearly 15% off of the lows. So again, look, this trend line right here got back above it, bouncing off key horizontal support. So you got a good shot. We have a bottom. We didn't hit the 200-week back over here at the 2023 low. So again, we don't have to reach it. My guess is we probably won't, that we've likely bottomed. Signals turning back to bullish. We get a big rally this week with either de-escalation day or big tech earnings. I'll be watching the 50-week moving average. I'll be watching the 20-week moving average here directly overhead. In the bearish Elliott wave count, if this is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's been invalidated. I talked about that over the weekend. More likely, we've completed the correction with an ABC move. Again, the red dotted line here invalidated the bearish count. We're above that, got above that on Friday. NASDAQ had already invalidated that count. I believe we have an A, a B, and a C. I think it's done. I think you're now starting the wave 1. And again, my angle of ascent would change if we pull back, if the rally continues, and maybe it is more of a parabolic rise right here with our first minor wave of intermediate wave 1. I'll be watching the gap fill, but we did get the 10 above the 20 period. We already had that on Friday with the NASDAQ. Now we get it with the S&P 500. This is what Bitcoin did right before it surged. It got the 10 above the 20 period moving average. Bitcoin pulled back and consolidated a little bit, and then it took off. So we'll see what happens. A lot to digest this week. The earnings, and then we'll see if there's any good news surrounding de-escalation. Again, here, I've marked this move higher as minor wave 1 being under construction. Probably go to higher levels. Again, Bitcoin's already above the 200 period moving average. It already broke out a double bottom and got above that 200 period. I think you've got a possible inverse head and shoulders on the NASDAQ and the S&P. Again, if we have a V-shaped type recovery where we get back up into this area, which I think is likely, but I've marked this as a 1, a 2. And again, this is speculation. The angle of ascent can change. This is a 5-leg push lower for the Elliott wave count, where I think you get 1, 2, 3. We go on into new highs over summer months, and then again eventually peak here in the summer or maybe on into the fall. So again, I am in the camp that I do not believe that we have peaked yet. I believe this was a preview of coming attractions. And again, a 21% drop, and the Fed did not panic. Just to me that this is not the sell-off kicking off the bear market. It's a bigger sell-off, and we've had 20+% sell-offs before. This is now the 5th one in this bull market. We had one in 2011, 2018, 2020, 2022, and now here, greater moves, greater than 20%. Very common in this bull market, or this long-term bull market. So again, I think we go higher, but I think that the drop we get once we do peak, it's probably going to be something similar to this or something greater than this, kick off the bear market, which I do think is coming. So that's what I think is going to happen. Of indecision. We'll see if it's a continuation or a short-term reversal. If it is, and we'll watch the gap. We'll watch the 10 and 20 period to see if they're tested. But it very well could be. If we get de-escalation day tomorrow or later this week, you could see a massive, massive rally. Watching the earnings. There is concern surrounding earnings, and we get de-escalation day where we see the trade tensions, really begin to ease. The rally of hope can continue. But I do think, again, have likely bottomed, as we've talked about. I got a lot of bottoming signals 3 weeks ago, and momentum shifted, and now we're seeing the trend signals begin to turn bullish last week and this week. As a bullish signals for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ here, positive things happening. Background here turning back to bullish. Bottoming signals, and we saw momentum signals begin to turn bullish. Thursday, we moved back into a risk-on environment. The trend moved back to bullish last Wednesday. Seeing positive things happen. Even if we pull back, signals can remain bullish. We can go towards that 200 period or even get a powerful rally and overthrow it. First, we saw the bottoming signals down over here, and the day after that powerful rally on that pullback, couldn't confirm that sell-off. That was a bearish inside day. We couldn't close below it. We got the bearish inside day after that big wide range bar, and we couldn't confirm it. We got the bottoming signal that day. Got a higher low on a pullback after going back up higher and then coming back down. Back up and testing that low again there. Going back and testing the high and then pulling back. And now we're seeing the bars turn to green. We're seeing the background turn to green. We're seeing bullish things happen. And again, the bullish signals back over here, again, have now started to flip the trend signals back to bullish. Have been consistently red since the peak over here. Tried to flip right here. It failed. We got the doji after the red bar, and we got this sell-off. Now we're getting the green bars again, so could we get a much more powerful recovery, fill these gaps at a later date? Kinds of bullish signals taking place. Now here, again, the signals turn bearish. Got the red bar right after the peak. It's been red. We tried to flip here, couldn't do it. No green bar. Tried to flip momentum here, couldn't do it. Reaffirmed the bearish signals. Came back up here, the powerful rally, reaffirmed the bearish signals. Couldn't do it with the pullback here. Rally, we ended up pulling back, I should say. And then now we're seeing it happen. Now we're seeing green momentum. We're seeing the signal turn back to bullish here. Bullish bottoming signal that we came up here with that powerful day. We came back, we got a higher low. So we're seeing bullish things now happen. Again, we're likely going to eventually test our 200. And if we get a powerful move, end up seeing a massive rally on de-escalation, could just blow right past this area. Certainly possible, but a candle of indecision. We'll be watching. Do we get a pullback to try to fill the gap, or do we have a continuation doji? Seeing candles flip from red now to green. See if they can remain that way. Bullish things have happened, but there's more work to be done. I warned you that we were going to see momentum go into the positive region here. It has, and now today we're flipping the background back to green. We already had the bottoming signals back over here. Then we rallied back up, had the momentum line turn back to bullish, and briefly turned bearish on the pullback for Monday's sell-off. We got more bottoming signals here, and then bars flipped right back to green on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Bars back to green. The momentum line flipped back to green there, back to blue. After Monday's sell-off, we had it flip right back to blue there with this rally back up. And again, now we get the little arrow. The momentum line remains blue. Today we get a candle of indecision. But again, momentum is in the positive region. It's doing exactly what Bitcoin did. You had the bottoming signals followed by the momentum turning bullish. Now we're seeing trend signals begin to turn bullish one by one. The area back here is telling us that a squeeze move is getting ready to happen. Last one was to the downside. The one over here was to the downside. Could we get an upward squeeze move? Pull back, fill the gap, and then see it happen. But we are seeing the green cloud form with the start of the week right here, getting a bullish signal here, building upon this higher low, higher high with our candle of indecision today with the doji. Exactly what Bitcoin did. Bitcoin ended up surging above the 200 period moving average. That's what I'm saying. We could end up blowing right past this horizontal resistance area and end up surging above that 200 very easily. We see trade tensions ease, and again, we rally on earnings. We'll be watching to see if we test that 200 or just blow right past it. We're seeing bullish signals from last week continue. We've got bullish signals going on. We got green going on. A moment ago, I think I failed to mention the ribbon is turning back to green right here as well. Now here, we still got red bars. The background's moved back to neutral. A turn is about to happen. If it is positive, flip the background here to green. We're already getting the line turning back to green right here. We're already getting this line right here turning back to blue. This represents this line right here with the circles represents the trend. This line represents momentum, both turning positive. So can we flip trend back to bullish now? Here signals turn back to bullish on Thursday. Even if we pull back, still see signals remain bullish. So we'll be watching. Do we have a doji continuation pattern up and test the 200 period? And if you do, you've got that shot at that inverse head and shoulders pattern. S&P daily here. S&P bounced off major support right here and the VWAP support from the 2022 low. The anchored VWAP from the, which is volume weighted average price, from that low, we've bounced off of that horizontal support and that VWAP support area. Try to continue up towards horizontal resistance. We have more VWAP support from these other highs and lows back over here, but you've got this horizontal resistance in that same neighborhood and our 200 period moving average. So we'll be watching that, but that's where we bounced off horizontal support and the VWAP support, anchored support from our 2022 low. We've got momentum flipping here last week, right there, turning back to green. Tried to get to flip the cloud. They couldn't do it, but again, still may make another attempt to do it before the week ends here. Today we're seeing positive things happen, momentum in the positive region. We're seeing the green going on here. Things are positive, but you got to be able to get above this red line. We did clear the ribbon right here, but you got to get above the red line, and that's going to act as support like it did back over here, like it did over here. That is going to act as support. Then once we get above it, it's got to flip back to green. So again, a little bit more work to be done if we're going to continue onward and upward.